How are you, sixth grade today? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so recall all the formulas we learned for these polygons. You can pause the video to help you recall the formulas. So we learned the area of a triangle, square, rectangle, parallelogram, and trapezoid. That's 5. That's a lot. Um, Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to solve problems involving parallelograms, triangles, and rectangles, um, also trapezoids. Okay, so let's look at this example, and I'm just going to enlarge my video screen a tad because I'm going to show you things on my board. I hope this isn't too big. I guess we'll see. All right. So let's look here. Here's trapezoid PQTU, and it's made up of a parallelogram right here, PQRV, the triangle VRS over here, and the square VSTU. The area of the trapezoid PQSV here is 99 square inches. Find the area of the trapezoid PQTU. So we want to find this big trapezoid, okay? And we're given the area of the smaller trapezoid in here. We're just gonna, again, review the shapes within this larger trapezoid, okay? So we have a smaller trapezoid there, and the area is 99 square inches. Now, again, that smaller trapezoid is made up of 2 polygons. You see how there's a parallelogram, PQRV, and I outlined it in yellow. And there's also a triangle, VRS, and I outlined it in red. Okay. Now, notice here that by the definition of a parallelogram, okay, opposite sides have equal length. So this PV is the same as the opposite side over here, QR. Okay, so this, since we know that this is 8, then we know this is 8 by the definition of a parallelogram. Okay, so looks like what we have here is, oh, and before we move on, let's look at the height. The height of this parallelogram, okay, is the same as the height of this triangle, isn't it? Okay, so once we know the height of this parallelogram, okay, then, or once we know the height of this parallelogram is the same as the height of this triangle, which is actually the same as the height of this trapezoid over here. Okay, because the height of a trapezoid is the distance between the 2 bases here. Here's one base, here's another base, and it's the distance where the distance is perpendicular, okay, to the base. So now let's go back now, okay? So now that we have all this information, okay, I know my B1, which is 8 inches, and I know my B2, which is 8 plus 6 inches over here. So here's my 2 bases, and here's my height, and I know my area. So the only thing I don't know that is my unknown is my height. So that's what I have to figure out. And once I know the height here of this trapezoid here, PQSV, then I can figure out my, then we'll see what the next steps are, okay? All right, so to figure that out, okay, let's look at the height. What we have here is the area of a trapezoid, just as a reminder, is 1/2 times height times B1 plus B2, and we know the area, we know B1, and we know B2. Okay, so we're going to input in the values, okay, and we get this, okay, 99 is equal to 1/2 times height times 8 plus 14, which simplifies to 99 is equal to 1/2 times height times 22. And I'm going to switch height and 22 around. And oh no, I erased a little bit. Okay. And once I switch my height and 22 around, okay, it's so easy for me to take half of 22, which is 11. So now I have 99 is equal to, oh dear, 11h. And to get h on one side, I just have to divide by 11. And 99 divided by 11 is 9. So the height is actually 9 inches. All right. So now that I have this height here, okay, look at this big trapezoid over here, okay, PQTU. Within this polygon, I have a smaller trapezoid, and then I also have this is a square over here, VSTU. You see that? Okay, so I see that is my square, and now I know one length that was my height of my parallelogram, that was the height of my triangle, that was the height of my trapezoid here, okay? It's actually the length of this square. If I know this is the length 9, then I know the length over here, which is going to be 9, because by the definition of a square, all the lengths of a square are the same. So now I can find the area of my square. And how do I find the area of my square? Well, the area of your square is length times length, or you can think of it as L squared, okay? And I'm going to input in my length, which is 9 times 9, and that is equal to 81 square inches. Sweet. So now I have the area of my smaller trapezoid, and I have the area of this square. Can you figure out the area of this entire trapezoid that is trapezoid PQTU? Of course, we could input in the bases, right? Like we can do the formula for the trapezoid because we know the height, we know the bases and everything. But it's actually just a simple addition sentence, because this larger trapezoid is a composite polygon because it's made up of two smaller polygons over here, okay? And so what you're going to do is, and I think you already know what to do, okay? You're going to, the area of this big trapezoid is the area of the smaller trapezoid plus the area of the square, and that is equal to 99 plus 81, which is equal to 180 square inches. All right, pause the video and try the guided practice on your own. All right, see you soon. Hi again. All right, so let's take a look at this, okay? This is not quite a large triangle, but it is a polygon, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 4-sided polygon, so it's a quadrilateral. And I see like a parallelogram here. I see a triangle here. Let's see if there's any other shapes. But before we continue and dissect, you know, our understanding of this polygon, go deeper, I want to transpose the image, because it's kind of, I don't know, I think it'll be easier if I transpose it, okay, and switch it up. So, ooh, my video screen is a bit too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. Okay, there we go. So I just flipped it like this, okay, and they tell us that the parallelogram ABEF, which is denoted here as a light purple outline, okay, the area is 84 square meters, okay, and this we can just say, oh, this is the base, because it's just on the ground, so we can just say it's the base, and then this would be the height, right? Okay, this would be the height of the parallelogram. Now, right now, we're gonna just kind of dissect the information that we have. We're going to try to figure it out and make sense of the whole thing before we answer questions A and B, okay? So now I also see, oh, next to this parallelogram is this triangle, BDE, and I outlined it in red, okay? And notice that the height of this triangle is actually the same as the height of the parallelogram. Okay, it's exactly the same. All right, now let's look at trapezoid CDEF here. It's outlined in light blue, CDEF, CDEF, okay? And what I notice here is you might be thinking, wait a minute, Mrs. Jones, that's a parallelogram. It's not a trapezoid. But if we look carefully, I only see one set of parallel lines here. Okay, that those two are parallel. But these two, they almost look parallel, but they're not. Because if these line segments continue up, 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 and this line segment continues up, 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 eventually they are going to intersect. Okay, so they are not parallel. So because there's only one set of parallel lines in this quadrilateral, it is defined as a trapezoid. And notice that the height of this triangle, which is the height of the parallelogram, is the same as the height of this blue trapezoid. Because again, remember the definition of the height of a trapezoid is the distance between the two bases of B1 and B2 over here, and where the distance is perpendicular to the bases. Okay, sweet. So it looks like if I know H, if I can figure out the height, then I'll be all set. I can find the area of the triangle, BDE, and I can find the area of my new trapezoid, CDEF, okay? So another interesting piece of information is, okay, look at this purple, light purple parallelogram here, okay? Opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal in length. So I know that AB is 5 meters. Then the opposite side here, FE, is also 5 meters. Okay? All right. Now I think we're ready. Okay? We have all the necessary information. Okay? So first, let's figure out the height and what it is. And so do you recall the formula for the parallelogram? It is base times height, and you know the area because it's given to you, so we're going to input that in. So that's 84 is equal to 5 times h, and to get h by itself, we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 5, okay? And so 84 divided by 5, if you want to know how it's done, it's over here. Take a look here and pause. It actually, and I changed it into a fraction. It's 16 and then the remainder 4 over the divisor 5. So 16 and 4/5. Okay? And I want to know what that is as a decimal. And so what I did was I kept the whole number in my mixed number, 16, and I changed my denominator to a 10. And that means my numerator becomes an 8 because 5 times 2 gets you 10. And whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So 4 times what? 4 times 2 gives you 8. So it's 8 tenths. And that's equal to the decimal 16.8 meters. Right? So now I know the height, okay? Which is great because now I can easily find the area of the triangle BDE for part A. That wasn't even part of A or B. It was just to get us ready to solve for A or B, okay? So let's talk about A. So now triangle BDE, okay? So I'm gonna identify this as a base because it's just on the floor. And you just have to add 12 plus 8, okay? Which is 20 meters, all right? And then the height is the same as the height of the parallelogram here, 16.8, okay? So if you recall, the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. And we're just going to input in the values here. 1/2 times 20 times 16.8, and half of 20, I like that, it's just 10. 10 times 16.8, oh, sweet, I like that. All you need to do is move the decimal to the right one place because you're multiplying it by a 10, and that becomes 168 square meters. All right. And now we're ready to do B, finally. All right, so it says find the area of the trapezoid CDEF. And notice here, I know that my B1 is 5 meters and my B2 is 8 meters, okay? And again, the height, I know it as well because it's the same, the height of this trapezoid is the same as the height of the parallelogram, okay? So, my whiteboards keep smudging a little bit, okay? All right. So the area of the trapezoid is 1/2 times height times B1 plus B2. And if I input in the numbers, okay, we have 1/2 times 16.8 times 5 plus 8. And 5 plus 8 is just 13, right? Simplifies to 13. Okay, and then half of 16.8 is 8.4. And if you want to see how I multiplied 8.4 by 13, please take a look over here in this area of the board. Okay, and that'll become 109.2 square meters. Woo! All right. That was kind of fun, wasn't it? Just to investigate and then try to see why is it important for me to know this value and what other clues can help me figure out, the information I need to find the area of another polygon. I thought it was quite fun. I hope you had fun. All right. Well, first of all, good thinking, good working, and I hope you have a blast for the rest of the day, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye.